just lowball it. I'll say that China killed 64 million people. That's what the U.S. government says. China says they killed 80 million. 1,013 new articles with the term global governance. And then there's a Los Angeles Times article. I mentioned another article about this yesterday out of England. Los Angeles Times, Fido, a.k.a. the climate criminal. Here, let's click on today's top story from 11 hours ago about how your dog, under global governance, print that for me. I hadn't seen this one. I mean, I could spend a million hours a day. There's not enough hours in the day. This is my news blitz. I should just spend the rest of the show on this. They're going to tax every form of meat, every form of plastic, every form of energy, home inspections. They're going to tax concrete. They're going to tax asphalt. They are openly announcing they're going to tax restaurants, coal, thousands. The climate bill in the House, that's passed the House, now in the Senate, says 35 bureaucracies can do anything they want. Just like the gun bills they've introduced under Holder states that he can just ban any guns he wants or ban you owning a gun without it being arrested or charged. You just can't own a gun anymore. You're put on a secret list. That's what they do now in these articles. This is how they operate. This is what they're up to. And no exaggeration, thousands of articles a day state what they're going to tax. This is going to be hell. And they mean for you to go bankrupt. I always get calls and emails saying, well, who are they going to tax if they bankrupt us all? They print the money. They use the taxing system to destroy independence. The power to tax is the power to destroy, as Thomas Jefferson said. Fido, a.k.a. the climate criminal, L.A. Times. Some climate change activists would take your dog away and spend trillions on other efforts rather than come up with solutions that could actually work to offset carbon levels. So see, this is how they do it. They know that you want a choice on whether you're for global taxes or not. So they just make it a choice about, now, come on, we do need to tax cars and oil and your house and beef and the crops you grow, because they're putting off carbon dioxide. Plants don't just put off oxygen. And yes, the plants are bad. I can pull up articles right now where they're talking about cutting trees down now. I mean, you can't make this up. In fact, people don't believe that. Jaron, search the term environmental activists say trees create bad carbon footprint, and you'll see them. Or if that doesn't bring it up, last time I saw it was months ago. There's a bunch of articles. I see them all the time, but about how we got to cut trees down now. Oh, I'm not joking. Trees are evil too. Trees are poison. But Fido, a.k.a. the climate criminal, some climate change activists, and it goes on, rather than come up with solutions that could actually work. So see, we do believe carbon dioxide is a deadly poison, even though plants breathe it, and then they create oxygen humans breathe. We can't scare you with the word oxygen, so we'll scare you with the word carbon dioxide. The government cannot have my dog. And then it goes on. And this is being called for by the United Nations. And here in my stack, here's a Times of London. Climate Chief Lord Stern, give up meat to save the planet. And they're banning fireplaces. They're banning space heaters. But don't worry, California just wants to tax them. Oh, you can have the propane heater in Northern California on cold nights. You're just going to pay a tax, and we're going to come in your house with local inspectors that get part of the money, because these little chicken neck control freaks, they like to boss people around. These were the tattletale rats in school, and they are getting SWAT teams, and if you don't like it, they're going to murder you and your family. After all, you're bad for the earth. People will need to turn vegetarian if the world is to conquer climate change, according to leading authority on global warming, and it's being proposed. In fact, they've already started. Canada's now taxing cows. In fact, Google that. Canada, just Google a tax on cows. A lot of sheep farmers and beef farmers in New Zealand and Australia are just stopping. Hundreds of dollars per cow. 50-something dollars to $70+ Oh, look at that. They'd shoot trees, wouldn't they? Climate law encourages deforestation, scientists say. A law of unintended consequences strikes again. the Kyoto Protocol, and then it gets into, I guess, how trees are evil, but that's not the exact headline I wanted. And this is meant to be outrageous. And then you're a criminal if you deny that it's happening. You're bad if you deny that this is going on. You are evil if you deny that this is going on. You are wrong. You are racist. You are, oh, I don't like big government. Racist. Oh, I don't think we should have open borders. Racist. I don't want government-run health care. Racist. I was watching some congresswoman back there in the break room earlier when I was getting some Java, and she was on there saying, there's a woman waiting for a heart transplant, and she won't get it. And there's a girl waiting for a kidney transplant, and she won't get it because of this blah, blah. England, Australia, Canada, they all have longer waiting lists for these things than the United States. We have one of the fastest systems in the world. It's not perfect. I was on the radio this morning on another talk show, and the talk show was like, yeah, but the insurance companies, they don't want the government health care. The insurance companies wrote the stinking thing. See, everything is the opposite. The big oil companies wrote the carbon tax laws. They want it. They want to shut down their competition, coal. That's on record. Just look at all the advertisements in the newspapers and magazines and TV from BP and ExxonMobil and Dutch Royal Shell calling for carbon taxes. I was in the airport in Los Angeles. Half the billboards in the concourse were about carbon taxes, and it was all oil companies and computer companies pushing it. We'll be right back with more news, your calls, and Lindsey Williams. Stay with us.
We all know that the Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water.
Getting mugged if you go downtown.
I live back in the woods, you see.
I live back in the woods, you see. My woman and the kids and the dogs and me. I got a shotgun, a rifle, and a four-wheel drive, and a country boy can survive.
Yeah, country boys are putting fluoride in your water now. Brain damaging you. Gonna stand up against that?
I can plow a field all day long. I can catch catfish from dusk till
But can you keep your kids off Prozac and Ritalin? I've seen the statistics. They put more kids out in the country in this nation on drugs than anybody else. Because country folks worship their doctors. Gonna wake up to that? I want to play 3 minutes from my film Fall of the Republic right now. But first, we got to crank this part up right here. Because you can't make us run.
Because you can't starve us out and you can't make us run. Because when them old boys raised on shotguns.
All right, let's go ahead and go to a clip from Fall of the Republic dealing with Barack Obama becoming the chairman of the UN Security Council. For anybody out there who's in denial, here it is.
The finance heads of the 20 industrialized nations met again in late September of 2009 at the G20 summit in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. At that meeting, ministers called for an end to the dollar as the world reserve currency. They also called for a strengthening of global governance and called for a new world order. While the bankers were busy carving up the world at the G20 summit, Barack Obama was in New York City at the United Nations because he's got a new job to chair the United Nations Security Council, the most powerful position in the world government body.
President Obama does what no other U.S. president ever has. As President Obama presided over the UN's most powerful body, that would be the Security Council.
6,191st meeting of the Security Council.
For a couple of hours, you could say Mr. Obama was president of the world.
It is the story of a world that understands that no difference or division is worth destroying all that we have built. In my own country, it has brought Democrats and Republican leaders together. Leaders like George Shultz, Bill Perry, Henry Kissinger, and Sam Nunn, who are with us here today.
Barack Obama is the first president to hold two posts simultaneously. And there's a good reason for that. It's illegal. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution forbids any U.S. president from serving any foreign government or institution. He swears an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. But now Barack Obama has sworn allegiance to the global government and the United Nations that he heads up. Let that sink in real good. Barack Obama now heads the United Nations Security Council. You cannot serve two masters, and Obama isn't. He's selling out the last vestiges of sovereignty that this country had. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the destruction of our nation, and it's also high treason.